Hello, gentle viewers. This is Guardian. Welcome to Out of the Park Baseball 24, the final episode. As you know, next Friday OOTP 25 releases, which I am incredibly jazzed about, and I'm looking forward to it. That means ending this particular series, because I'm not going to carry it over into OTP 25. We're going to do something new into OTP 25. So let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen there, and then we'll get into this game. So we're going to start with the 2024 start date. However, the thing is, I don't think. Mm, mm, mm. I don't think you can trigger an expansion draft once the season starts, and the game usually starts in on opening day. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably just sim that first year entirely to get to the first off season without me taking a job. Um, so it won't be quite what we were looking for, but I still think it works. Um, Alternatively, I guess I could export this particular save and do. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. We're gonna do it based on. We're gonna use the real Major League start, just jump ahead a year, and then we'll figure something out. We're gonna do an expansion franchise. And we're gonna see how we can build a franchise from nothing to be really competitive. So be on the lookout for that. Now, one thing I'm not sure about yet. Full disclosure. Um, I usually go into the office on Fridays, which means I have to commute to and from work. I might be tired when I get back on Friday from work because I do work next Friday. Should it be a national holiday because OTP is coming out? I think so. But alas, here we are. Because of that, I might do the sim on Saturday. Maybe. We'll see how I'm doing. I'll try to post something in the community tab. So, cheap plug, if you want the latest baseball news, you can always subscribe to the channel and you can check out the community tab. Um, I'll post there for sure, depending on how I'm feeling on Friday. Um, we'll see. Um, that's what's going to be happening next week. What's happening this week? This is going to be the final episode with the Oakland A's. And after the season, we're going to do a full retrospective of decisions we've made, the players we've acquired and sent on their way. Um, and I'm going to make Sean DeWitt retire because I want to see if he could get into the Hall of Fame after the season. So basically, what's going to happen is we're going to sim all the way through the end of the season, all the way through all the awards. Basically, I'm going to get up to next spring training, but I'm not going to do anything. Because my objective is to see if Sean DeWitt retires, does he make it into the Hall of Fame? Or is there at least a reasonable chance in the Hall of Fame? So that's where we're at right now. I'm not signing any extensions this episode. If it doesn't make this season better, I'm not going to do it. Just putting that out there. Okay. We're ready to go. What happened last episode? We haven't changed the lineup much. Um, a lot of these are old familiar pals and Sam Laws, Hisato Takimoto, Sean DeWitt, Jerry Strachan. Luis Ramos is one of the few new players we've acquired, or got a little too expensive for us. So we got someone who is hopefully as good as or if not better. We'll see. Vigil's back. Bays is playing in left field because the game loves them some Brandon Bays. Brendan Shapiro is going to be our starting catcher this year, which could be interesting. I don't know how this is going to work out for us, but I'm hopeful. And then Joey Vadnais, after an uninspiring, I think is fair to say, debut season, is hopefully going to come back and give us a little bit more. Mike Downing goes into the rotation to start the season. I don't know how I feel about that either, but we'll see. Savio comes back, which we acquired at the deadline last year. He turned out he was a pretty useful pitcher. And then we have Mike Downing as well. I just mentioned Mike Downing. Stoll, Dennis, and Edwards are our veterans. Stoll is starting to decline a little bit. He has no chance at the Hall of Fame, so I'm not going to worry about him. Bob Matson is our closer. Is it too much pressure on him? I don't think so. I think we're going to be reasonably good at closer, but we'll see what happens with him. Sergio Portner comes back for another season as our setup guy. Nudo DeBoer was one of my rare free agent signings this year. I think he's going to be a really good one. Mitch Vaughn, Pat Gibson, Dan Downing, and Rusty Bossy are all old friends at this point. This is Downing's major league debut, though. And I think Downing has a lot of upside, so I think he's going to be a lovely addition to the bullpen. Plus, I used to live near Mentor a long time ago. So that's fun. That's a fun little coincidence. We'd often go there. We'd often go into town there to do some shopping. Anyways, let us simulate forward and see if we can we bring it home again, one final time. We have 5 championships. What's better than 5 championships? 6. It's math. We can't argue that more championships are better. I'm really excited for OTP 25. The player development lab alone is worth it to me. I haven't been following the dev diary, so I don't know what other cool features they might have added. Besides that, in the Hall of Fame, which for me is enough. Um, yeah, I don't think there's other things I'd like them to do. I guess this is as good a time as any to talk about some of those things. Coaching needs to be more transparent. Um, Sergio Luna gets his 300th home run. Damn, son. Ooh, we got a no hit. Yikes. Um, Nothing too crazy has happened. They're both day to day. They'll be back soon. Um, I want them to make coaching more transparent. I want them to just make player development more transparent because it's never been clear to me what the best way to get the most out of your players is. And look, out of the park baseball has consistently been a franchise to keep stuff under the hood. They want you to explore and understand it. I completely agree with that. I get it, and it makes the game more enjoyable. But what I don't like is I don't like knowing what decisions actually make an impact. Um, the other thing I want them to fix is the micromanaging needed to make the minor leagues function. Because it just doesn't feel good. And I think that is also holding back player development. Now, I have seen so many Reddit threads on what causes it. And most of it comes down to micromanage the minor leagues, and I'm never going to do that. And I feel like I'm being punished for playing the game in a certain way. And if you're going to have automation of the minors should, roughly speaking, be okay. Um, but hopefully they change some of their formulas there. Um, while we're simming, maybe I'll quickly jump on to forums and see if there's any other cool developments that I missed. I'm rarely if ever on the forums, but I am excited. Let's see here. Okay, we're waiting until the public beta to come out before they do a full release of the features there. So, oh no. There goes Bobby Stoll. That's not great. I cannot call up Sotelo. He is not ready. He is absolutely not ready. It's really tempting. It's super tempting. I cannot be done. I refuse. Oh, this bullshit again. Game, I'm not asking for fucking miracles. I'm just asking you. I'd like them to see them change that. That gets really frustrating if you play multiple saves. Some that have minor leagues, some that don't. Anyway. I need a starting pitcher. I don't really have any good choices. They're all bad, is the problem. I don't think Darnell Myrick is ever gonna crack the roster. I don't think. How is Brandon Bays doing this year? He looks a bit shit. Oh, but he's a captain. I can't trade Brandon Bays. Damn it. Mm. I'm gonna try to trade Myrick for a starting pitcher. Damn the expense, and we'll see what I can manage out of this trade. Can I get a green starter, please? Just one. A crumb of starting pitching. I mean, there is 0111 McMillan, who isn't a terrible choice. His control isn't the best, but he is. No, he's actually not durable. I'm lying to you. That's a filthy lie. Plus, his name is weird as shit. Um, I don't hate Albert Garza. He's got decent velocity, a nice slider sinker combo. Mm, I don't know how I feel about him. To be clear, everyone we pick is going to be flawed in some way. There's no getting around that. David Andrade just sucks. Fidel Molina at least has a really good fastball, and he's left-handed. Yeah, I think we're gonna go for Molina here. I think that's fine. I like Myrick's, don't get me wrong, but we desperately need another arm. Who are we gonna put in the rotation? It's gonna be Molina. I think that's the right call. Um, I think somebody who throws that hard as a left-hander but has plenty of stamina has a reasonably good future in the major leagues. Plus, Myrick's. It was still the right call. I still feel reasonably good about that. I just don't feel good about Bays. Um, I think the value he brings to the club as a quality, like chemistry guy. If he still looks like this at the end of May, we're replacing him. Like it's just going to happen. Water. A player's been DFA'd. Oh right, he was a Rule 5 pick, I think. Right? Yeah. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So he's a Rule 5 pick, which lasts for a full calendar, which lasts for a full year, remember. They released him, but Tampa claimed him, and then Tampa released him, so he still ends up back with me. Fine. I'll put you in AAA. That's funny, though. I like that. Good old sod poodles. Some people getting a little bit worse. A couple people getting a little bit better. I forgot I still had Mike Ellie. He's not that good though. He just isn't. Elliot Avani is taking a step forward this year. That's appreciated. That's some good shit. And then the rest is whatever. All right. We've already replaced Braden Bays, which I think is a smart decision, and letting Steve Seward be our DH. Why wouldn't we let Seward play left and let Laws DH? It doesn't matter. We're the number 2 offense in the league, which is fantastic. Even if some of our players are not playing at their very best. I feel like Seward's been done dirty by this club so many times because he has been really good when we've performed, and then we just find excuses to take him out of the lineup. But I think now he's going to be there at least for a while. Laws is still getting on base, but he is massively overpaid. I think this is one of the rare mistakes that we've made recently, is giving him a new contract because we're getting suckered by this. He's just not hitting well enough to justify his price tag. I mean, that could always improve, of course, but meh. Sean DeWitt still going strong. Maybe on pace at one of his best seasons ever because of his ridiculous base running this year. And his so far flawless defense certainly doesn't hurt. Jerry Strachan is having a good season. He doesn't look like it, but he is. It's not quite as good as last year's because his average is off by quite a bit. But if he can start hitting a little bit more consistently, he's going to be a really good one. Ramos was clearly a brilliant decision. Like, clearly. He's already hit 13 home runs. That's amazing. He's exactly what we needed. Super jazzed about him. That acquisition looks like it worked out. Vigil's having himself a very fine season as well. One of our most consistent hitters. Takimoto's a bit disappointing this year. Not so disappointing that I'm like, oh my god, he's trash now. But he is a little bit disappointing. Hopefully he can warm up a little bit in the second half. Shapiro's been fine. He's done what we've expected him to do, which is much appreciated. And Vadnais is on pace to just be a garbage tier shortstop. This fucker cannot hit at all. I probably need to do something about this. If he would at least draw walks, I would accept it. But this is not acceptable at a major league level. It truly is not. I don't know that I have another shortstop that I trust, though, is the problem. Oh, damn, look at Sotelo. I missed that completely. He just made a gigantic jump. I think we have to acknowledge that. I think we have to call him up into the major leagues. How is Molina doing? Not great. Sotelo, you're in. I didn't expect that at all, but such a huge leap forward means he's ready for the major leagues, in my opinion. And we still have now a very useful starting pitcher if we need one. Okay, so that's nice. But what do we do about shortstop? There is Pineda, but I don't think Pineda is any better than Vadnais. I truly don't. Kevin Brown isn't better. Morales isn't better. That's the problem. I've got a lot of really good infielders, but I have none of them that I would consider a worthy starting shortstop. So I guess we just like stomach Vadnais unless we can find a really good trade. Let's check the trading block. Looking for a shortstop. Eh. One Escobedo is not a fucking shortstop. I know he was on my team. Don't be delusional. I mean, Case Dolan is at least an elite defender, but like Van Nuys doesn't suck at defense. I need somebody who can actually hit, and that's clearly not happening. Um, piece of player finder. What about a reunion with Santiago Luna? Oh, he doesn't want to be traded home. That's fine, you jerk. Player search. Nope, that's not it. I have to go to the part where you sign a free agent, and then players, and then MLB player, and then find a player. Okay, all leagues. Hitter. Shortstop, at least a 50. Let's see what we got. We have some free agents. I don't have any faith whatsoever that any of these guys are actually shortstops. Nope. 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 OTP. I would love it if. Oh, you can include defense. Oh my gosh. Gotta be at least 50 defense. That helped. Nate Nicolini isn't that exciting. There are just not very many good shortstops. You would never give Wilson Dislot. Like, I'm not stupid. I would give you literally everything for him, but it's never going to happen. Like, there is not a sequence of players that actually moves the needle enough. As amazing a shortstop as he is, I could give him Sotelo. It's the last year, and he's so fucking good. Is there a downside to this trade? Like, Disla is legitimately an amazing shortstop in every conceivable way. And he signed for a he signed for a big contract, but he deserves it. Like, I see no reason not to make this trade. Could I do it without losing Sorello, though? That I think is my. And I'm not going to be Edwards either. If I added Bradford. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I will empty out my fucking minor league system. No, Ivani doesn't really do it for you? Okay. I can part with Seward. I would happily part with Seward over parting with. I don't normally like trades like that. Like, this is very obviously a trade that's going to bite me in the ass if I were playing beyond this season. But Disla is an amazing player. He is top shelf in every conceivable way. He just makes us better. I think that was the right decision. 10,000%. That was the right decision. I feel really good about that. That was great. I don't like making giant trades like that, but I very clearly got a gigantic upgrade. Now, I'm not done trading yet, but I'm willing to go one more month before I make any other decisions. I gutted my farm system for that trade. Was it worth it? I'm pretty sure that it was. The clock is ticking. Anything I can do to bring home another World Series just has to be done at this point. God damn it, kid. Just don't. I'm not putting you in the IL for 1 week. That's silly. Well, there goes that issue. Actually, sorry, transfer to 60 day. Give me the roster spot. Um, McCullough is probably the best choice for short term stuff. And then I do want to. Can Witsat play the outfield? He probably can't. I'm going to send down Vad Nais, and I want another outfielder. Let's call up Ivani, too. That feels decent. That feels like an okay choice. And we'll just cobble together the outfield at least until July starts, and then we'll see what's happening. Oh, that was a lot. That was a gigantic trade. I would give you heartburn if I was playing the A's fast this season, but thankfully I'm not. Thankfully, I am not. Now that I don't run an online league anymore, because the league just came apart as these things do, the good news is I don't have to keep two versions of OOTP on my desktop at one time, which is nice. The starters haven't been great. It's mostly been Savio who's been struggling. Let's dig into this. He's just giving up home runs all of a sudden. That's obviously not great. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get him through waivers because he's struggling enough that I don't think anybody's gonna tag him. And we're going to call up Fidel Molina, and that's one thing I'm gonna change right now. The lineup isn't hitting for average as much as I'd like, but it's hitting well enough. And I think we've got really talented players that are all showing really good skill levels. The bullpen is phenomenal. I have no questions at all about the bullpen except how much more awesome could they become. Truly an excellent bullpen, no problems there. We've got a bunch of errors. I wonder who's fucking up defensively. Vigil. I don't mind though. Vigil's not a great third baseman. I think as we go further into his career, we're going to have to move him to some other position. For now, I'm fine with it. His range isn't amazing, but it's not the worst either. If we do this one here, no, not this one, the original one. Where's the super good fielding stats that I created that has? Oh, here it is. It is over there. Yeah. So if we sort by errors, he actually makes plays pretty frequently. So this is an example of a player with reasonably good range that just happens to probably make throwing errors, would be my guess, because he's making plays at a ridiculous clip. Like he's destroying even plays. He's even making unlikely plays look easy. Um. So yeah, I am more than happy to let him keep playing third base for now. Disla is a little bit less effective. Um, But yeah, I'm reasonably happy with our defense. Um, yeah. Let's go ahead and chug along down to the first year. At the deadline, I'm probably going to try to grab a starting pitcher if I can. I don't care. Jim Trout, Mike's son. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Sotelo is the number 7 prospect in the major leagues. He is struggling, but I'm gonna let him push through it. But I do want to try to get another good starting pitcher if I can get one. The Mariners grabbed Savio. That's completely fine. Maybe he'll succeed better in Safeco, whatever they call it these days. Downing for 2 weeks is fine. Let's go ahead and call up another reliever to let him recover. Merlos. Done. Oh my lord, 21 to 1. Jesus Christ. Are you shitting me, game? Are you shitting me? Ugh. That's why I don't do that. That's why I don't make piles of prospects for one guy trades. Because then that guy gets fucking hurt. And you look like a dipshit. I had such high hopes for Max Sheffield when we drafted him. He just has not worked out in the least. Which is really disappointing. Losing Dizla fucking sucks. Um. mm. It's the draft. I'm still going to take the draft seriously, even though, like, we're not playing past this season. But I'm still going to try to take it at least somewhat seriously. Auto pick. All the good prospects are gone. I'm not too surprised. Um. mm, Jakey Abreu is pretty close to plug and play in the major leagues. He's pretty close. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and draft him. I'm not gonna overthink this one. I'm gonna offer you your demand. Done. Hmm. I like Bernal. Let's get Bernal and offer him his demand. Jake McNamara seems like a fantastic choice. Let's go ahead and get him. He's also very well established and ready for the big leagues whenever I need him, which is very valuable to me. Jim Eigelhart sucks. I'm not going to waste my time with him. Yeah, we're already at the point of the draft where all the players are just deeply uninteresting. I'm just going to go ahead and let my scouting director pick the rest of the draft. Fuck it. And there goes McCullough. Um, you know who might be coming to the major leagues already? Um, Jakey is the guy I'm thinking of right. No, not Jakey. The other one. Well, I didn't see who we made the All Star roster for us. Let's see here. R.J. Edwards did. Sergio Portner did. Rusty Bossy did. Sean DeWitt obviously made it, and no other hitters of mine made it. Mm, disappointing, but not unexpected. Any old friends here? Oh, Shamar Pamphile. We remember him. None of these other names seem familiar to me. I'm gonna simulate up to July 17th. I'm hoping that my other guy signs. Can we not fucking take this long? I'm gonna put you in the major leagues as soon as you sign. Like, I'm promising you that. So fucking sign, jerk. I don't even care about these guys. I got plenty of money. Let's do it. Okay. Amazing. You know who is not spending a single second in the minor leagues? Jake McNamara. Oh no, not Jake McNamara. Not Bernal. Bernal, those are both pitchers. Maybe it was Abreu that I meant to call up. Yeah, let's do it. Let's call him up. Boom. How many first round draft picks are playing in the major leagues already? This one is. You'd like to come back? I certainly have no objection to that, but I probably can't afford you now. Yeah, I don't have any money. Great, I don't need a shortstop. That's fine. Shortstops are completely optional, right? Of course. Local man makes all-star appearance, instantly out for the rest of the season. Um I like McNamara's movement. Let's call him up to take Bossy's spot. Robbie Herbertson being traded. Ishmael Ibarra. Is this fucker still pitching? Mr. Ibarra has been a bad pitcher. Like, he just hasn't. And yet he keeps getting shots in the major leagues, which I find funny. I don't begrudge anybody that does what they love for a living, but it's funny to me that that's where we're at, but here we are. Um I don't trust Gaddy as a starter, so I'm gonna have to decline this one. I need a starting pitcher, not a reliever. My bullpen is completely stacked in every possible way. Not a starter. Go away. Rejected. I could get Dan Downing back. I'll send out McNamara and we'll bring Downing back. Downing's a little bit more established as a starting pitcher. I'm fine with that. Danny Gaddy. Not a starter. Stop game. And yes, these guys probably could be starters. But I don't just want to try to trade a guy just to trade a guy. I want an actual starting pitcher that's actually competent. Like Mr. Hessenthaler here. Interesting. I guess the question is who would Hessenthaler replace in the current rotation? Probably Sotelo. Probably. There's lots to like about him. I just like a better starter. Um, I want to try to get the most. out of this deadline that I can. So let's start the trade deadline day. I'm gonna reject that trade. I'm looking for a 55 to a 60 starter if I can find one. I haven't found one yet, though. That's the problem. There just might not be any starting pitching on the market, which sucks. Um, yeah, you're only offering relievers, which is not great. I probably can't afford Lindy Jones, and he's not really what I'm looking for. Josh Wallace is what I'm looking for. What is it going to take for me to get Mr. Wallace out of the hands of the Tampa Bay Rays? You want Blakely? You can have Blakely. Done. That was the number one thing I needed this deadline, and we got it. So I am completely happy about this. Who goes to the minors? I don't think it's gonna be Sotelo. I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be Molina. Hopefully this means that Wallace takes over Downing's spot in the rotation. That's what I'm hoping. But we'll see what happens. That's what I need this trade deadline. I'm gonna end the trade deadline happy. Because that was desperately needed. An injection of high quality starting pitching to help us with the playoffs, assuming we get there, which there's a pretty good chance I think we will. Um, yeah, that needed to happen. 10,000% done. All right, let's sim to September 1st. Merlos is out for 3 months. Losing Merlos isn't the end of the world. I have a pretty large pool of quality relievers that are just waiting for opportunities. I gotta give Ben Sutphin a chance. I think he's earned it. Probably. Doggo? What a name. Disley is huge. Absolutely huge. I'll just send out Hamamoto actually. And we'll call up Disla, who will instantly get his job back and should hopefully help quite a bit. Doesn't really bother me. Brandon Bays has been the manager's pet, and while I like his captaincy, he should not be starting ever. He just doesn't hit frequently enough. Um, Bobby Stoll back is pretty huge. Um, How's Elliot doing, by the way? Pretty poorly. Hey, Jacob Brady's having a good time of it. That's fun. I'm just gonna put him in the 80. I'm gonna put him in 60-day out. I know he'll be healthy before then, but I just don't see a point in keeping him around. Suckfin, you're back. Welcome back. Oh, Tim Gaffney has kind of shot up the rankings here. He's a perfectly cromulent middle infielder, but he's not worthy of a roster spot at this time. Where's that mega trade? No, it's not gonna matter. I was gonna say let's check the mega trade and see how people do. But I'm not that worried about it. Okay. We can call up some people, which I definitely want to do. I'm gonna bring McAuliffe back. Hamamoto comes back. I like Dan Berkman as a bench bat, even if I don't think he's that good. Um, Anybody here that needs to get a roster spot potentially? McNamara can have a roster spot. He's earned it. Mijares, Molina. That's good. We'll go with that. Sure, we can have Bays back. Oh. Let's try to sneak. Jerry. Actually, there's not any sneaking about it. Jerry Sigmund is gonna happily be departed. Brandon Bass is fucking hurt again. That's hilarious. He literally just got off the IL and gets injured again. What a loser. What a fucking loser. What we're really competing for right now is making sure that we stay as healthy as we can, but also going for that bye week. That bye is super valuable to get let people rest up and recover and be at their very best come playoff time. Losing Stoll again actually hurts a lot. Having Stoll was a really nice benefit. His career might be about done. Um, we're gonna opt out of his contract anyway, but it's very clear we have to opt out of his contract now. Like we can't keep him around any longer. I see that's 22 million right there. We've already clinched the division, I think. No, we just clinched a playoff spot. Excuse me, we didn't clinch a division yet. We probably will fairly soon. Rangers will clinch a playoff spot. There you go. I think we've also clinched one of the buys too because we won 100 games. So I don't think that's going to change anything. Randy Hoskins having a nice little career. Good for him. Good for him. Does Randy Hoskins count as a miss on our part? I don't think he does. Let's look at him. Let's visit an old pal. Like, very clearly, he's ridiculous this season. Like, he has never been this good and probably never would have been this good with me. What did we get for him? He turned his career around in Colorado. I think the Hoskins that we got rid of at the right time, but then he exploded in Colorado. And has continued that with Cleveland as a really good hitting second baseman. However, that's when we got Caleb Sellers, and Caleb Sellers was really useful to us for the couple seasons that we had him. And then we turned around and flipped him, and he never had a better year than he did for us. So, yay. I think Caleb Sellers turned into Nate Arthur. Okay, that was less exciting. Yeah, I guess you could argue at the end of the day we actually lost that particular trade because Nate Arthur was so terrible, but lessons learned, I guess. 105 victories feels pretty good. And of course, Sean DeWitt gets 5 hits. Of course he does. Of course he does. Let's go ahead now and set up our playoff roster. Only my guy, please. Who are we leaving off? I'm comfortable with most of these names being left off. Pineda can be left off. I'd rather have Avani over Abreu. That's the only difference I'm gonna make here. Is I'm gonna add Avani to the playoff roster. Yeah, that is absolutely the right rotation. By the way, Edwards, Wallace, and Dennis is what gives us the best chance to succeed. I plead that quite strongly. Let's go ahead and sim through the first round. Or if it's Columbus or Texas in the first and the division series, I wonder. It's Texas. Okay. Mr. Playoffs, RJ Edwards locks it down. Obviously. Josh Wallace also provides what we needed, which is another steady arm in the postseason. Can Dennis make it a sweep? He does not. Dennis got lit up. It's on the rookie's shoulders now. Can Sotelo pull it off? He can. I've got to be realistic with you guys. Sotelo's performance this season has been utterly revelatory. I didn't even think he'd make the major league roster beginning of the season, but he's actually done very, very well for his rookie season. I think we've got our next big starting pitcher now. I truly believe that. If we were going to keep playing with the A's, I'd feel really good about our future because of how good Sotelo is. All right, next playoff round, please. We will be facing the Mariners. Okay. Betrayal. RJ Edwards does not hold up in the postseason. To be fair, though, that was an amazing performance. The fact that we couldn't give him more than one run is why we lost that game. Losing our closer for 3 weeks isn't amazing. I don't love that. But at least we had a good offensive day. Nicely done. Brendan, I almost said Ben Shapiro. Disgusting. No, Brendan Shapiro was the guy. Dennis didn't pitch that one. I wonder why. Was the game like already out of reach by then? I mean, we were up 4-0. I guess it's reasonable to take him out a little bit early as a treat. Ooh. Our old nemesis, Juan Bardales, locks the door down. 2 innings. That's very impressive. Sotelo walked to press a few too many people. I keep wanting to call him like Nutella. Um, there we go. Can you bring it home, Josh Wallace? You cannot. It's Dennis versus our cast-off Savio. I'm gonna close my eyes. I don't want to see it until I know we won. No! Oh my gosh. They brought RJ Edwards back too soon. That was a mistake. Downing fucking imploded. He gave up. I bet this fucker gave up a grand slam, didn't he? He didn't. I wanted to end with the A's in the World Series, but alas, such a fate is not open to us. That is a real fucking shame. I was actually really pleased to. I was really hoping we'd done enough to win the World Series again, but we didn't. And that's unfortunate, but here we are. I bet losing Matson hurt a lot. Matson was a really good closer for us this year. Um, damn, that sucked. Oh my god. Mm. I mean, I'm happy for Seattle, but they should have lost because it inconvenienced me that they won. Damn it. Damn it. Okay. We're gonna break down this individual season, and then we're gonna go from there. Yeah, that's not fucking happening. I don't know what delusions you have at the moment, but Sean DeWitt, we're gonna keep him. I'm actually just gonna make him retire, but we're gonna void Stoll's contract, and then increase active roster size. That's cool. Um, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna break down this season first, and then we're gonna do a little retrospective and end the series basking in our accomplishments. Sean DeWitt did it again, guys. He did it again. He's not quite the same player he always was, but he is a damn fine player. Damn fine. If he played another season, he'd probably get to 500 home runs. As it is, I still think he makes the Hall of Fame, and we're gonna find out when I quickly make him go into commissioner mode. Back, and you're gonna retire. I'm not gonna automatically induct in the Hall of Fame. I want to see if he actually does make it, but if he's really close, if he gets like 65 or 70% of the vote, I'm gonna induct him just so we had at least one A that made the Hall of Fame. I guess I'll just stay in commissioner mode then. That's fair. So DeWitt was obviously amazing. Takimoto has been a really good find for us. Really good. He's a competent second baseman who plays pretty strong offensively. I don't know why he doesn't have more All-Star appearances, unless our second base are just better than he is, but he's been a really nice piece. Jerry Strachan was probably one of our better trades of late. He's just been an outstanding hitter and a real force in the lineup. Sam Laws had a good season. Still not worth what he's being paid. Um, I still stand by what we did for Dizla, but I am having second or third thoughts about what we gave up for it. I have never given up this much talent in one trade before. And I don't feel amazing about it. If I were going to play another season of this, I probably would have not done that trade. As it is, though, Dizla is a uniquely competent shortstop, and I think we're going to benefit if we were to keep going. Vigil cooled off a little bit toward the end of the season there, but he still is what he is, which is a pretty solid offensive performer that plays third base well enough that he's not hurting the team. Ramos was a huge pickup. I think more than any other player in this that we acquired in the offseason, I really think Ramos was the most important. Um, he's given us a true threat at first base that we haven't enjoyed for a very long time. Shapiro had a great year. Brandon Bays fucking sucked. Dan Whitsett had a season that should not be underestimated. He was actually a pretty reasonably consistent offensive performer. Not an elite one, but a very strong one. And Hamamoto sucked. Pitching, Josh Wallace. We don't get as deep as we did in the playoffs without Josh Wallace. That was a deadline deal that had to happen, and I'm glad that it did happen. Edwards had a great season. Sergio fucking Portner was insane. Downing was actually better than I thought he was. I thought Downing would look like a dumpster fire, but he actually had a pretty good season, all things considered. Dennis was good. Matson and Deacons were great. Gibson was really good. Sotelo, honestly, for not even 100 innings, almost getting 2 wins is really good. Aleppi throws as hard as he does. Now, I don't think he takes this into account, but I want to flag something before we get too excited about this guy. Right here. 170 pounds is not the kind of frame that usually can consistently throw that hard. I know Billy Wagner was on the small side, but I don't think Billy Wagner was that thin. 170 pounds isn't very much. And I am concerned about his long term health, but at least for now, Mr. Sotelo has been a fantastic pitcher. And I think we're lucky to have him. He was an international free agent, right? Yeah, he was. Our pitching staff was fucking stupid good this year, though. Like, really, really good. Really good. Okay. Well, I'm going to turn on Do Not Disturb. Where is it? Here it is. And we're just going to go immediately through the award season. And then we're going to go through the Hall of Fame. And we're going to see who, if anybody. And we're going to see if Sean DeWitt makes the Hall of Fame, essentially. I hope he does, but we'll see. Do we win any cool awards? We literally won 0 awards, like not even one. What? Oh, okay. I am badly confused. Okay, let's check Gold Gloves. Yes, we did win an award. I don't know why that wasn't in my inbox. Okay. So we got a Gold Glove for Zeri and Dennis. Very nice. Portner got unanimous reliever of the year. Of course, Sean DeWitt gets a Silver Slugger. Like, why did we think he wouldn't have? A lot of good Astros this year. The Astros could be up and comers that are pretty impressive. I mean, I don't know why the Texas Rangers manager won the award, but whatever. Um, hmm, hmm. We did get some awards. Don't be fucking stupid, game. All right, Hall of Fame voting, critical importance. Sean De fucking Witt. Sean DeWitt. Mike Benza had an amazing career. That's a really good hitter. It's a really good player. I'm gonna vote for McDevitt for fun. Like DeWitt is clearly the best player on the ballot, besides Mike Davey. Whether that's good enough to get him into the Hall of Fame, I'm not too sure. I've got some bad news. Cam Collier, I'll vote for that. I'll vote for Largo Corticelli. I gotta vote for bad news. That's just a great name. Francisco Alvarez. Alvarez might make it this year finally. I think he's reasonably worthy. Like, yeah. Rodolfo Herrera. I think Leonis Harper, Chris Hughes. Let's keep him around. Good old Racetrack. Racetrack's got a pretty good chance of making the Hall of Fame too. Chris Larson had a really good career as a catcher. And then Ernesto Lima. No, I'm gonna go for Lossie instead. Done. Submit ballot. And we're gonna zippity doodah right to the Hall of Fame voting ceremonies. And wait for it. Randy Hoskins finished third in batter war. He had a hell of a season. Hell of a season. Okay. Did it happen? Yes! Oh, we did it. We did it, guys. We did it. Yes. 96% of the fucking vote. Of course it did. Oh wow. Let's check out that plaque, yo. Let's savor this shit. Oh, I'm so happy that Sean DeWitt made the Hall of Fame. So happy. Oh, that's so rewarding. Almost as rewarding as the World Series is seeing a player that we developed become a Hall of Famer. That's my favorite thing in the world. That's incredible. I love it. I love it. We did it. We did it. This is worth the wait. I want to check out his plaque and see what it tells us. Sean DeWitt, Oakland's most Oakland player ever. You know what we didn't do? We didn't move the fucking team to Las Vegas. So fuck you, John Fisher. You can feel free to join me in a hearty fuck John Fisher if you'd like to in the comments. Um, Taking base out of Oakland is gross, especially moving into Las Vegas, which is a much smaller market. Just because he's being a jackass. Anyways, let's filter the inductees by their primary team. Apply. Where is he? Sean DeWitt. Oh, you actually can't read it. It's black. It just spills off. He is a world-class baseball player, but a leader of men. Extremely good leadership. 2,270 hits. Amazing. Good shit. It's good shit, pal. What a guy. What a guy. Sean DeWitt was amazing, though. Truly phenomenal. The best Oakland day we ever had, I think. So, let's go through the team's history. We took over in 2023. And 2023 was a rough year for us. Undoubtedly. Look how quickly we went from bottom of the basement to the playoffs, though. We improved almost 30 games. And we take a look at this roster. Look at some of the players we had. We had Brian Reynolds. Remember we acquired him in a trade? Cameron Misner's best year of his career. Shea Langoliers had a phenomenal season as well. We look at our pitching staff. Shintaro Fujinami, I did not remember him at all. I don't remember any of these pitchers. James Paxton. We did it with offense, which has not typically been our... Normally, we don't usually do it with just really good offensive play, but this year we did. A lot of guys to remember here. Mark Vientos, who I swore up and down would be a superstar and never worked out. Pozo the Bozo. I remember him. Tyler Soderstrom. Daryl Ernais. Some real guys there. I don't remember any of these pictures. I'm sorry, I just don't. That was a hell of a year, though. That's a dramatic improvement. We made the plus 4 consecutive years at that point, which I think is really impressive. Look how tiny our budget was, too. Our first World Series championship, we finished 500 that year. Who was on that team? Peyton Green. Peyton Green, I think, is severely underrated by history. Let's revisit the career of the phenomenal Peyton Green. He wasn't a Hall of Famer. Don't get me wrong. He was not a Hall of Famer. But there was a time when he was one of the best players in the major leagues, and he just couldn't get any respect for that. Like this peak right here from 2030 to 2034 is really good. It's really good. But then he left Oakland and just never made it back. But I do think he's underrated. I would definitely put him in the Hall of pretty good. Not the Hall of very good, but the Hall of pretty good, I think. Max Muncy. I really think we did Muncy dirty. I think of all the players that we've had, we never just let him play. And he retired so young. They never had a really chance to flourish the way that I think he could have. He never had unquestioned hold over second base, and I think it hurt him. For his career. Josh Baez. Vaguely remember him. Bo Naylor, I remember acquiring him for a couple seasons. He didn't really turn out to be anything too special. Shane McClanahan, one of our first early dives into a big time acquisition, and he worked out for us his first year. Ishmael Mota, Paul Skeens, another one of the great what might have beens. Paul Skeens was a fine pitcher, but he was never great. Especially given how much money we paid the fucker. But he was just good. He never really took it to that next level to show that he could have been an ace. His best year was his rookie year. Which I think is a bit of a shame. Ramiro Yano, I remember him because he was a very good reliever for a long time, and he continued to have a great career. Um, I'm impressed by how well he pitched in his illustrious career. This is a weird team. I think most years wouldn't even sniff the playoffs, let alone win the World Series, but we did, and that's all that matters. Then we kind of had this weird doldrum period here. 20, 30, 31, and 32. In 2030, Peyton Green had one of his best years. Riley Green had a great year, but the rest of the lineup wasn't that impressive. Max Clark. I love Max Clark so much. I think he's one of my favorite players that we had to let go because of money. But Max Clark had a low key good career. Low key. He was an excellent player, and I'm really glad that we got a really good career out of him. I just wish he ever had a chance to stay healthy enough to be the best version of himself. Peyton Green, we're talking Riley Green, Jacob Kendall, another one of our 1 year wonders. Kendall lasted a couple other years of being decent, but he didn't even make the Hall of Fame ballot, nor should he have. We had a lot of flash in the pans in our lineup. I think consistent lineup contributors are really hard for us to find over the years, which made someone like Peyton Green all the more enticing and exciting. Mike Neely, our quest for a first baseman. The first year, Sergio Oviedo, I think one of our other great disappointments. We'll see him in a minute. Pitching, Ian Anderson was one of our best values of a pitcher we ever had. For this period, he never made more than $1 million a year. Take a look at his contract. As an A, he was really underpaid, and he made us competitive just because of how cheap he was. That was really, really welcome. Who else we got here? Another great year from Yano. Andrew Painter. Oh my gosh. Andrew Painter was a terrible decision. I thought Andrew Painter could be something special, and he just never was for us. We gave him so much fucking money that we didn't really have to spend. And he didn't turn into anything good either. Painter as another one of the greats that could have been really great. The debut of Mike Swanson. Let's not forget Mr. Swanson was a pretty reliable starter for us for a few seasons. He's just another guy that got drastically overpaid. If I learned anything from the Oakland A's series, I need to stop overpaying players. I need to let them get through arbitration. If they hit free agency, they hit free agency. Or I had to trade them, I had to trade them. But I think too often I went for these big contracts thinking they were going to be great players, and it turned out that they just weren't. Although thankfully his wasn't too insane, he definitely didn't really earn his money in a real sense. That was 2030. 2031, we return to the playoffs. Who are our big players then? You know what? Let's just go through each year really quickly and just do some quality guy remembering. 2025. Who are our big names there? This is Will Brennan. Will Brennan was a nice little player that we acquired. He just never really amounted to very much. Shea Langoliers, we got rid of him at the perfect time. Brian Reynolds and Soderstrom. Soderstrom was such a good player for a very brief period. We moved him at the right time, but he actually had a nice little career renaissance with Cincinnati. Ended up being an okay player. Just not a great one. Miguel Vargas. I had such high hopes for him. Such high hopes. I thought Miguel Vargas was going to be a top tier position player. Just absolute top tier, and he just never managed it. It didn't cost us very much, though. Like, none of these guys ever worked out to being very much, so. We got an okay haul, but none of these guys have really had a great career for us either, so. We traded him at the right time, he just never was that exceptional. Pitching the Tyler Glasnow experiment, we had him for a season or two. Mason Miller, the guy who just kept getting shot around in different places here. We traded him at the right time, though, at his absolute peak. His peaky. Okay. 2025. Is this the one we just looked at? It might be the one we just looked at. Yeah, it's the exact same one. Sorry. 26. Jay Allen was a really good player. He's another one of these my favorite kinds of players that I keep getting suckered on every fucking time. The position player that hits for a good average and has good gap power but has nothing else. Like, there was a time when he was one of the best ever for a very small swath of time, and then he just went garbage because when these guys don't hit for contact, they're worthless. I need to adjust that myself. I feel like we did Angeles here kind of dirty. I think he could have been a pretty consistent contributor at second base, and we just kept trying to find upgrades, and eventually we did. And so I never had a chance to have the career that I think he could have had. Lessons learned, maybe. The Cody Bellinger appearance, I don't remember having him at all. I truly don't. Soderstrom and Vargas. Pitching. It took us a while to make truly good homegrown pitching. Paul Skeens being an exception. But even he peaked at the beginning of his career, not at the end. 27. Notice already Jay Allen is a dumpster fire. Confidant, one of our many attempts to add power to the lineup that never ended up working out. First season of Peyton Green. Brady House was the right player at the right time and then stopped being the right player at the right time. But that for that first series is actually really good. We did a really good job of identifying players that would be good for a year or two, and sometimes we held on to them too long, other times we didn't. I think getting rid of House when we did was the right call. Pitching, a lot of older pitchers. McClanahan. That was what year? That was 27, right? Yeah. 28. Ariel Almonte, I think, is was a decent player for like one season and then ended up being not very good. Peyton Green. Muncie again. Mike Neely, our never ending quest to get somebody who could get on base. Tommy White. Tommy fucking White. Remember when we acquired him and we thought he was going to be the greatest thing ever and then it turned out he wasn't? I remember him. I remember him hard. Um, Pitching. I don't even remember some of these pitchers, to be honest with you. I don't remember Jeremiah Sprout or Jared Jones at all. Kyle Wright. We traded for him. He pitched fairly well, and then we gave him a reasonably large contract that ended up being silly. He had a good career, though. Good career. That is 28. 29. We're going to talk about the World Championship the year after the World Championship, though. Basically, everything that went right the previous season went wrong this year. Max Clark had an enormous season, as did Peyton Green and Riley Green. Jacob Kendall already won over this season. Still no young ace pitchers, though, that we could rely upon to be Quality dudes. Return to playoffs in 31. Jorge Barosa. Oh my gosh. Another example of a guy we picked up in free agency. He was okay, and then we let him move on. Actually, had a better career with somebody else, but where's him signing with the A's? I must know. It's 2031. Yeah, he just took a minor league contract, and for 1 year, he was a pretty helpful piece to the puzzle. Kendall had his second good year. Anthony Ziegler was one of our first eternal A's. Um, he just kept coming back. Can we talk about Sergio Oviedo now? I had Oviedo just never worked out, and it's so frustrating. One of our bigger defeats is just Oviedo never playing well enough to earn to be one of the best in the league. Multiple time Gold Glove winner, just not for us. But we traded all for Jesus Ramirez, who was a good reliever for a little bit, but oh, Oviedo. Another one of my stupid contract guesses that he would turn out to be a young megastar, and he just wasn't. Had a pretty okay career for the Twins. Maybe I should have just kept him, and we should have seen what would have happened. I wouldn't look at the pitching, did we? Um, I could not develop my own starters at this point. Melvin Hernandez was a rare exception. Hernandez had a couple of decent years for us. Actually, had an okay career. We drafted him. We traded for him. No, we got him in the Rule 5. Yeah. He was good for a couple of seasons, but for the most part, again, we're not developing our own pitchers. That was a big issue for us early on in our development. I think it's part of the reason we lagged behind so badly for so long. 32. Another year that we really struggled in. God, Nate Arthur. Oh my fucking lord. Nate Arthur was absolute dog shit. But I kept believing he might not be dog shit. Oh my gosh. He was so terrible. Look at this shit. 9,200 at bats, and he just couldn't hit at all. Oh my gosh. Kendall had a good year. Eddie Leonard or UK Lim. I remember getting him and then trading him almost immediately. Rodolfo Romero, part of our stretch of Cubans, where we'd acquire them, they'd play phenomenally for a few seasons, and then we'd trade them, and they'd maybe continue to have a good career. I'm surprised he fell off the ballot as quickly as he did. I think Rodolfo Romero should have gotten a little bit more credit and had at least a decent chance to make the Hall of Fame, but he never did. Um, Juan Demoya, our first breakthrough pitcher that I got excited about. And oh my lord, was that a mistake for the amount of money we paid. Juan Demoya got a stupidly huge contract that I was never going to be able to pay. And he never proved to be the elite starting pitcher we wanted him to be. There was a brief time when he was one of the better pitchers in the league, but he never hit that next gear. He actually ended up having a really nice career in the bullpen. Um, that actually extended his career quite a bit. But as a starter, nobody ever tried him again, and that was probably the right call. He was a good pitcher though. Baden Fairbank. He never worked out, not even once. But hey, he was such a good prospect. He was an international free agent, if I remember right. Yeah. Just a lot of guys here, very few of whom ever had big time major league careers. Alas, alack. 33 was our second championship, and this one felt a little bit better. Because we had Peyton Green at his very best, the beginning of the Jesus Jacobo experiment, um, who was another guy we signed super young for a really long contract, and it turned out he wasn't ever very good either. He wasn't bad. He's still fucking playing, or at least he was up till very recently, but he was never that great. Not a great year from Kendall. Romero was amazing. A good year out of Oviedo. The one great year from Demoya, combined with Jim Krisman in the bullpen. One of our many, many relievers that had amazing seasons. That we eventually turned into a starter that revitalized his career. He actually had a really nice career after that. So Krisman was one of our better success stories in terms of pitching. Swanson, Skeens. It was about Demoya, Anderson, and especially Krisman in the pen that really made this year noteworthy. Really made it noteworthy. That began our string of consecutive plate appearances. Though. So even if this World Series team wasn't that impressive, we just kept making the playoffs year after year after year. And if you keep making it, eventually good things will happen. 2034, Derek fucking Mitchell. Oh my god. I thought he was going to be an offensive megastar. He signed his giant contract right when his career failed. Look at how good he had been. And then we acquire him, and he just absolutely sucked. Man. Oviedo Romero, Caleb Sellers, pretty good stuff there. Is this Chris Hughes' random MVP year? Yeah, just casually wins an MVP. And then never, and then just drops off after that. All it takes is some batted ball luck, and you too can be an MVP, which is funny as fuck. But it's really cool that he managed to pull that off. Um, Again, no real young pitchers that we've developed having big seasons. Pete Howell was a nice little find um, that season as a reliever. We always had good bullpens, but we really struggled to find the elite starting pitching that we really needed. Oops. That was 34. 2035. Hi. The debut of Sean DeWitt, who I believe won Rookie of the Year that year, and just never slowed down. What a phenomenal career he had. Here's the thing. If we didn't make him retire and we just kept playing, I bet he would have been one of the best outfielders of all time. A guy I never want to put in center field, and yet he just found a home there. Chris Hughes' fucking MVP season. So funny. Oh my god. Such an absurd. Dicewell Minor, for a couple years, was really, really good until he wasn't. Oliver Camillo was decent for a couple of years. Amari Braun was decent for a couple of years. Chris McDevitt. McDevitt was our first real success in developing a starting pitcher. He really was. Um, Still one of the most successful Oakland A's pitchers we ever developed. And I think it's no coincidence that with McDevitt as an option, we really saw some really good pitching performances. That was 36, right? The ridiculous Chris Hughes MVP year. Oh no, that was 35. We're in 36 now. DeWitt's second season, Ishmael Estrada. This is before I realized DeWitt was just a better center fielder. I probably should have figured that out sooner. Um, it's cool we have Peyton Green and Sean DeWitt on the same team. I think in a lot of ways they're kind of the twin peaks of our franchise in terms of players that had the most impact. Um, DeMoy and McDevitt made a pretty good young pitching tandem. Devon Schaffner was good for a while. Bobby Stoll. I think of all of our starting pitchers, Bobby Stoll has had the most successful career in terms of a longevity thing. But even then, he was certainly not a guarantee. But he was really good for a very long time. Um, in terms of longevity, it's hard to beat Bobby Stoll. 2037. Sean DeWitt has one of his first truly transcendent seasons. Ishmael Estrada has a nice little backup. Bobby Guerra, that was a hell of an outfield, but it only really stuck together for one season. Um, Andy Santa Cruz, another one of the many players we thought would be amazing and wasn't. Fernando Tatis Jr. was a big what fart. Eddie Williamson had one of the best partial seasons of his career and then amounted to nothing else. But that 60 games with Oakland was an incredible benefit to us. Chris Allen. Why did you never pitch? You were always hurt, and when you weren't hurt, you sucked. Oh my gosh. I invested so much time and energy in Chris Allen thinking he would be a big time pitcher, and he just never was. Disgusting. Bilber was a good reliever for a while. McDevitt. Omari Nickelberry. I remember being another. No, I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm thinking of Amari Broaden, who we turned into a reasonably good starter for a handful of seasons. Joel Volpert, another one of our elite relievers. We got a good few seasons out of Schaffner. Schaffner, I think, ended up being a pretty good piece for us. Danny Gross. There was a time where Danny Gross had just an outstanding career ahead of him. But I got rid of him at the perfect time. And he still hasn't really made a major league comeback. He is another one who couldn't stay healthy. Bobby Stoll. Oh, that was 37, right? It feels like 37. Yeah, it was 37. Gilberto Cabral. The classic prospect that just never turned out. So much raw potential. So much capability. And he just never did anything with it. He couldn't get opportunities. Maybe if I had just thrown him into the lineup and just let him play every single day, damn the consequences, he would have turned into something special. But he never got better than his first year, where he had 17 home runs in 60 games and barely managed over 17 the rest of his career. That was just another reminder of mine of one of our bigger failures in Cabral. World Championship year. This was, I think, year that Chris McDevitt showed he could be a really good reliever, a really good big game pitcher. The good year of Jesus Jacobo, of course. Rodolfo Romero having another outstanding season. Where's Sean DeWitt? Is this either Sean DeWitt? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong year. That's 2033. I wanted 2038. I lost my mind for a minute there. There he is. There's our man. Estrada was low key a really good player for us for a few years. But he's another guy we got rid of at exactly the right time. because he never really played that well for anybody else. Santiago Luna. The new Rodolfo Romero, and also a two-time MVP. Just a phenomenal player at the perfect time. Just phenomenal. Really, Santiago Luna made this series, this a world championship team, almost by hook or by crook. He dragged us to a World Series, and I'm so grateful for that. Ronnie Small, he could have been something. He could have been something. He just never got regular playing time. But he's the best backup catcher in the major leagues. But he never got a chance to start. Then Bilbrey was okay. This is also no coincidence at all. Chris McDevitt's biggest year. And he was sensational in the playoffs that year, like truly phenomenal. So let's see, that's 2038, right? If we look at his postseason, that was a really good postseason. Um, yeah, great players had great seasons, and we won a World Series. Funny how that works. Oh, that takes you to there. That's cool. 2039, 101 wins, and we didn't go anywhere in the postseason. DeWitt had an amazing season. We already know that Luna won his second consecutive MVP. Dan Espinoza was the guy who consistently outperformed his actual talent level. But again, we knew when it was right to move on from him. And he just never got a chance. I still think to this day, Dan Espinoza could have been a really good player if he'd gotten everyday starting appearances. But we got a good year out of him. Randy Hoskins, we remember him well. Chris Portillo, this is one of the guys that our manager got obsessed with and kept trying to play, even though he wasn't very good. Had a good career with Philly, though. He wasn't a one hit wonder, that's for sure. Divinny. He didn't ever cost us very much, but still, another example of failing to develop a starting pitcher. We just have really struggled as a franchise to have great pitching year in and year out. It just hasn't been a possibility until very recently. Um, it be like that sometimes. 2040. Escobedo. I remember Juan Escobedo. Do you remember Juan Escobedo? I'm sure you do. That one magical year. I'd also got him a contract extension, if I'm not mistaken, and a fairly lucrative one too. But then it turned out he wasn't very good. That's funny as shit. I never realized that. That's how we got Ishmael Estrada in the first place. We traded him as a prospect, and then we brought him back. Um, oh no, we traded Estrada to the Dodgers to get Escobedo. This fucking year, oh my lord, Jorge Gallego, just out of fucking nowhere. It's like hitting baseballs is easy. Never even got to this level, close to it the rest of his career. I love seasons like this. I love team players that just for one season everything clicks. He was still a very useful player, by the way, for the next few seasons, but he was never anywhere near that level again. But man, what a season that was. Again, my Achilles heel. Good contact, good gap power, shitty everything else. I don't know how to quit players like this, apparently. Robbie Herbertson, I think counts as I don't. Is Robbie Herbertson a failure? I mean, it took him a long time to make the major leagues, and he hasn't made much of an impact. Although he had a great season with San Diego in 2045. And then we brought him back to help groom our new third baseman, and then he's just had an okay career since then. So it is what it is. Pitching, not too many familiar names here. Braxton May. I like how I brought Braxton May in to be a starting pitcher, and the game's just like, no, fuck you, he's a reliever. And I'm like, but what if he was a starter? And he says, no, fuck you, he's a reliever. And it worked out okay. We got a really good reliever for a pretty reasonable price, but I brought him in to be a starter. And other than that first season, he didn't really start very many games. I did enjoy the tensions between me and my managers. I think it actually made the game more exciting and more fun to watch because I couldn't just dictate what happened. It was no, I have my own ideas about how to run the team. Screw you, I'm the guy in charge. We had a really deep rotation this year between McDevitt, May, Gross, Stoll, Wolpert being another amazing reliever. Wolpert, I think, is one of the best relievers we ever had. Year in and year out, he was so phenomenal, and we just couldn't afford to keep him. But he was real good. 2041. Jonathan Dunlap. Oh my lord. I could have just accepted at a certain point that our best center fielder was DeWitt and not kept trying to acquire more center fielders because, good lord, did that suck me up. Alfredo Mesa was so good for a couple of seasons. So good. But then he wanted like $11 billion after these couple of seasons. I'm just like, nope, I'm not going to afford that. I choose not to pay that much money. I choose not to. Pamphile, another fantastic reliever. I ended up keeping him over Volpert, which ended up working well in the short term, I think. Sam Feeney. He's still a good pitcher. Still has had good seasons. But he's another guy I couldn't hang on to because he was just too expensive. I traded a lot to get Feeney. And then turned around and got not very much for him. But he ended up being a pretty good pitcher. We maybe should have tried to keep him somehow. Potentially. Georg Khan. Oh my lord. This guy tried so hard, and every season I remember, it's like, sorry, you're going to the minor start theater. It's like, God fucking damn it. Every year. He never got a real chance, and then when he did, I traded him. Poor Georg Hunt. Oh no, maybe just non-tendered him. No, I did trade him for Jesse Tidwell, who ended up being one of the players of all time. Poor guy. I really do feel really bad for Georg Hunt because he just never had a chance in the slightest in a billion years. He was just never gonna make it. A lot of these are more recent seasons. I don't think there's any too many other notable people to just take some time to remember. So what I'm gonna do instead now? Who are our retired numbers at this point? Oh, this injustice will not end. Um, what was Sean DeWitt's number? What was Sean DeWitt's number? I will not accept a world in which Sean DeWitt's number is not retired by the Oakland A's. What is your number with us? 23. Let's retire 23. It must be done. A true Oakland A's legend like that needs to have 23 retired. I literally have to come up with my own thing here. Lame. That's disappointing. Oh well. Um, let's look at our team's leaderboard. Let's look at some of the awards we might have won. So let's quickly look at American League Award winners. We're gonna scroll on down here. It's what? MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, Reliever of the Year. Okay. So we have Colin Palouse, Reliever of the Year. I don't remember him at all. Ken Waldichuk, Reliever of the Year. I told you we were good at making relievers. Michael Perez, Reliever of the Year. Oliver Camillo, Reliever of the Year. Joel Volpert, Reliever of the Year. Sean DeWitt, Rookie of the Year. Chris Hughes' MVP season, which is still completely fucking nuts. I love it. Joel Volpert's second Reliever of the Year award. We have double MVPs for Santiago Luna. RJ Edwards, Cy Young. The first one we ever had, I think. We acquired Cy Young winners, but they never won the Cy Young for us. And then Sergio Portner, another guy. Really Gold Glove Award winners. Let's look at some A's here. Who do we got here? A lot of these aren't our guys, though. Shane McClanahan won a bunch of them, but it was when he was still with Tampa, I think. Oviedo won 3 Gold Gloves. I don't think any of them were with me, though. Might have been. Ernesto Lima. Never had him. Then there's Sean DeWitt winning Gold Gloves. He got him in left and in right. Shockingly, never in center, which is really funny to me. Oh, Grady Sizemore. It makes me sad. What a career he had. Could have been so much better, though. Yeah, we didn't really have too many Gold Glove winners, did we? Zeri and Dennis had 2 in a row. I guess we were never a truly elite defensive team in a lot of ways. I thought Chris Hughes won a few, though. Evidently not. I could have sworn Chris Hughes won a couple of Gold Gloves, though. Ernesto Garza. I mean, I guess that's fair. Oh no, Cam Collier won a Gold Glove when he was with us, so I guess that counts too. Interesting. Well, I've always valued offense over defense, so I'm not that surprised that we didn't have any Gold Glove winners. That's fine. What about Silver Sluggers? Here's where I think we're gonna see a ton of people for the Oakland A's, because I did prize offense so heavily. Brian Reynolds got a Silver Slugger for us. Soderstrom's Soul Silver Slugger. Told you we were good at offense. Da, 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 da. Bunch of people I don't care about. Julio Rosario. What a player. Peyton Green. I can't Peyton Green only won 1 Silver Slugger. He was such a good hitter for such a long time, but that's all he could ever manage, which is a single one. Ernesto Lima. Oh, that's keeping. That's not my guy. My guy was Santiago Luna, not the other dude. We never had a catcher when we never had a great offensive catcher, so we never got a Silver Slugger from catching. That's disappointing. Santiago Luna's 5 consecutive Silver Sluggers. Sean DeWitt has 6. I think if we never had a Silver Slugger at first base is perhaps the most damning element of our team's history, but here we are. Let's look at leaderboards. I wonder where Sean DeWitt places an all-time WAR. I'm sure it's not terribly high, but he's got to be top 50. There he is, number 44. Nice. What did we sort by center fielders? I wonder where he places for all-time center fielders. $39. Okay. I was like, yeah, he's got to be top 25. No, he's 39. That's funny. We have some of the best attendance records in Major League history, which is fun. Hmm. Let's just for a moment end the episode by just going over our all-time batting and pitching leaders and see how many of them are Oakland A's of a more recent flavor. I can't believe Sean DeWitt doesn't crack the top 10 for on-base percentage in a career. He does for slugging, though. Career OPS comes in 7th. Best Oakland A of all time. Nobody else who developed even cracks the top 10, which is probably not a great sign for how we actually developed our players. Most games played. There's Chris Hughes, though. At bats, DeWitt. Runs, DeWitt. Fuck you, Ricky Henderson. You suck. I'm joking. He doesn't suck. He's great. Most hits is an Oakland A. Most total bases in Oakland A. Second most singles, most doubles. Not even in the top 10 for triples. Number 1 home runs. Number 1 ribbies. Number 5 stolen bases. Chris Hughes coming in at number 4. Didn't get caught all that frequently. Number 2 all time in walks among Oakland A's. Didn't hit by too many pitches, which is nice. Number 1 in strikeouts. Number 2 for Peyton Green. Where would Peyton Green rank among all-time Oakland A's? Oh, there's 43 home runs. Santiago Luna's 46, though, is 7th all-time for an Oakland A. Sam Laws got all-time walk record right there. I should be looking at the years. Caleb Sellers and Alfredo Mesa both got hit by a lot of pitches, as did Andy Santa Cruz. People just like hitting him with baseballs, I guess. Nelson Vigil, all-time single season strikeout record. So 10th in WAR was what? 10th in WAR is 38.4. What did Peyton Green end up getting? Oh, it's Peyton with an A, isn't it? It is Peyton with an A. I knew that. He finished with a career of 39.8, but a lot of that wasn't with Oakland, so that's fair. To reach these readable leaderboards, you have to play for the A's for a long time, which is obviously not very likely. Pitching leaders, we're not going to have anybody anywhere near the top here, I don't think. Chris McDevitt, 8th all time in wins. Damn, I guess I'm wrong. Winning percentage, McDevitt and DeMoya. McDevitt is number 4th all time winning percentage, with RJ Edwards coming in at 10th. Saves, Jesus Ramirez, Bob Matson just this year, actually. Or last year, rather. But technically this year. Joel Volpert, Jesus Ramirez again. Ryan Cusick, I don't remember him at all. Joel Volpert again. Volpert is third all time in saves. Shamar Pamphile is number 2. Jesus Ramirez number 5. So we've definitely had some good relievers, that's for sure. Single season war, not even close. Career war, there's McDevitt, 6th. There is Bobby Stoll, 9th. It isn't a long damn time since the A's had a really good starting pitcher. If you look at some of these names, like these are all fantastic names. But I mean, Eddie Plank, dead ball era. Lefty Grove, 30s and 40s. Charles Bender, dead ball era. Rube Waddle, dead ball era. Vita Blue, 70s. 60s and 70s. Catfish Hunter, same. Tim Hudson, 90s. And Dave Stewart, 70s and 80s. So it's been a while since the A's have had like a notable starting pitcher besides Tim Hudson. 90s, 2000s for Tim Hudson, sorry. Um, I bet Mulder and Zito aren't far off this list, though. The A's problem is also they don't hang on to their players. Like, when a player is really good, they end up having to trade him because they can't afford him anymore. Which we definitely saw in our own deals here. Games pitched a single season, Michael Perez, 92. Yano with 88. A lot of people here that are far more recent. Brexton May, 9th all time in games pitched as an Oakland A. I definitely would not have expected that of all the pitchers that we could have seen. Game started, McDevitt is 5th. Complete games, that ain't happening. It just doesn't happen anymore. It truly does not happen anymore. Shutouts, yeah. Vita Blue was a really damn good pitcher, though. I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten about him. I don't know that he's necessarily a Hall of Famer, but he's, I think, a better pitcher than some people have given him credit for. Knowing their top 10 innings pitched, that's not a surprise. Pitchers don't pitch as many innings anymore. Gettysburg Eddie Plank allowed 3,500 hits in his career, just about. Bobby Stoll did love him some gopher balls, as did Chris McDevitt. Walks per 9 for a career, Shane McClanahan's time with us, ranking pretty high, as did Paul Skeens. Strikeouts. Paul Skeens, the only person who even ranks. Oh no, Bobby Stoll is 4th all time. McDevitt is 2nd. I just apparently wasn't paying attention. McDevitt was a really good pitcher. Really good. We struggled so hard to develop pitching, though. Like, it was a real struggle. Danny Gross is up there, too. That's funny. Frankie Montas is also up there. I think it's one of the things that held us back for a long time, is we couldn't develop the kind of pitching we needed. Would keep going to free agency to find stuff. But then we found R.J. Edwards, who's been a fantastic pitcher. And there's a great chance to be one of the best A's that have ever pitched for the A's if we went on for another 10, 15 years, I bet. Wilfredo Rivera. That's a guy worth remembering. He's still pitching, believe it or not. But he was a guy that had a decent career for us. We signed him to a pretty decent contract, and then it just turned out he wasn't as good as we thought he was. Where have we heard that before? Strikeout per walk ratio. Dennis is high up there. Skeens, McDevitt, Stoll, Rivera, Montas. Whip, McDevitt comes in at 8th, then Zeri and Dennis. Opposing average, people only hit 226 off of Chris McDevitt. That is insanely impressive, given the fact that look at all these guys around him. Dead ball era. For Rube Waddle. Cy Morgan, I don't know what he pitched. Dead ball era. Okay, I should have known that one. Catfish Hunter, not dead ball era. Vita Blue, not dead ball era. Then Rich Harden, Chris Bassett, Raleigh Fingers are a bit more recent, but who's Jim Nash? Oh, I guess he pitched for them for like 2 years. Okay. But that's really impressive. Do we have anybody here, unfortunately? Oops. None of our players led the league in oops. And then War. McDevitt, 8th. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, there's Barry Zito coming in at 10th. Hudson. Some more recent guys. Eddie Rommel's another dead ball era guy. Well, I take that back. He was just outside of the dead ball era. My mistake. Friends, I hope you've enjoyed this series. I did a lot. There were times where this series got really frustrating, and I was probably not a pleasant person to watch. But I hope you at least enjoyed as much as you could throughout your time with this thing. If you've been here since the beginning, you're an absolute psychopath, but I love you anyway. Um, it's truly been a fun series, and it was really nice to just keep one team and see what happened with it. Were we successful as I would have liked? That's hard to say. Like, let's consider my career as a manager. I won 2,000 games. That's really good. That is really good. And we won only 5 World Series, but we came awful close to winning a 4th one just this year. And I can definitely see this A's team, if we kept playing it, probably winning another couple of World Series, at least while the window is open. Sean DeWitt is going to be a giant, massive, super huge hole to replace, though. And I don't know what the answer is to that. I don't know what the answer is to Sean DeWitt and how we're going to run somebody of his caliber. But I'll tell you what I do find compelling, which is that we were successful. Are the A's a dynasty? I think that's the last remaining question. It depends on your definition of dynasty. We talked about this a little bit a couple seasons ago, but I think now that we saw how this last season did, I think they count. I truly think that they count. If we sort by my record here, I think it's a little easier to see this here. Like 2 World Series here. So to 2030, 2048, that's 10 years. We went to 4 World Series, winning 3, and took it to a Game 7 in an LCS. That's a pretty successful 10-year stretch. I think that counts as a dynasty. That's just my take on it. Maybe you don't feel as strongly. Maybe you're like, no, you have to win like the Yankees did 3 or more back-to-back. If that's the case, we'll never win a dynasty again. Let's just be realistic. But we are one of the most successful teams in Major League, in Oakland A's history, and certainly in the major leagues. I think nothing more impressive than our very second year. Like, look at this. We took a dumpster fire organization and turned it around into a far more successful one. In our 25 years at the Oakland A's, we had a losing record 4 times. That is incredibly impressive, given the payrolls we had to work with. 4 losing records in 25 years. And we were fucked that first year. Like, we were never going to have a winning record that first year. But 28 we lost. 30 we barely lost more than we won. And then 32 was a bit of a rough year. We didn't draft super well. As a franchise, our draft history is littered with first-round picks that never really worked out. Schemes was good. Zantanello was garbage. Never made it out of the major leagues. None of these guys made it out of the major leagues. Cam Caminiti never made it out of the major leagues. Max Clark, that was a good draft pick. I feel pretty good about that one. Luberta ended up being a decent pitcher for us for a little bit. But again, mostly unimpressive. Swanson, a good pitcher. Not a great one, but a good one. Yano, good pitcher. This is one of our best drafts, with Yano, Minor, and Kendall all being very big contributors for 3 or more seasons. I think that's a good indication of a good draft. 29, not so much. Howland sucked. Uh, we kept trying to get him at bats. He just was never very great. Wenzel, nope. Loris, Pete Howell did pitch for us for a little bit, and he wasn't too bad. Alexis Pinto was fine. Still decent. I mean, he's not a bad player, but he's certainly not a good one. Then there's a 2032 draft. Alex Mueller is still somehow playing Major League Baseball games, but he was never going to make it for us. But Bobby Stoll, one of our best of all time. Bradshaw never amounted to very much. Sean DeWitt, pretty good player, I think we can confidently say. Chris Allen was okay. Ronnie Small was okay. We got some decent stuff from them. Simmons, never made the major leagues. Volpert was a really good first round pick. McGaffey got some meaningful innings. Giuliano got some meaningful innings. Goff never ended up being anything special, but has an okay chance to have a decent career. Deviney was decent. Herbertson was pretty good. Salgado didn't really work out. Neither did a lot of these other guys here. Cunningham is garbage. This is not a great draft. None of these guys really had a good... Is that Wilfredo Rivera? Okay, a 14th round pick making the major league as long as he did is a pretty big success, which makes up for the rest of his draft was pretty shit. Roberson never made the majors. Dunlap had a chance and at least has gotten some playing time, but hasn't been anything too special. A lot of guys here have kind of sucked. Chris McCracken, I want to say, got a chance to pitch a little bit. McGaff had some innings here and there. Espinosa was decent. Certainly decent. Sergio Carrillo was a victim of circumstance. There was a time when Carrillo could have been a starting third baseman for us. But we got Vigil not long afterwards, and he just was never going to break through that. Ken Armstrong, a low-key good catcher for us. This is shaping up to one of our stronger drafts of late, which is maybe an indication of how bad our drafts have been. Portner just won reliever of the year. Obviously a massive success. This is a pretty solid draft. 2039... Peterson's out of the majors. DeJohn's out of the majors. Ellie's had an okay career, but given what I expected from him, which was something special, we did not get that. We got 2 decent years and that was it. Bunch of other players that aren't terribly interesting. Seward ended up being a decent player for us, turned into an important trade. Hi, Pamphile. You were really good. Mitch Swanson pretty solid too. Flanagan, another guy who was briefly a third baseman for us and didn't play too poorly. He never got a chance to really play in the majors, though. We have Mr. Defense, Mr. Dude, Brandon Bays. Brandon Bays sucks. He's the classic player that you keep around because he's good in the clubhouse, but he's a terrible player. Callison, I had so many hopes for Vince Callison. I thought drafting a player at his age would mean there'd be a decent chance he'd start really quickly, and he just never did. Callison is a guy I'd like to have back, because I know there were some other players there that were far superior to him. It is what it is. It is what it is. Pamphile was good, though. Pamphile was really good. Nobody else here. It's too impressive. RJ Edwards. Probably our best ever first round draft pick. Dan Downing, not a terrible second round draft pick. Amari Broaden was pretty solid for a long time. Oh wait, no, not Amari Broaden. I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm thinking of the guy was actually a pitcher. Isn't Prieto pitching in the major leagues? No, he's not. Okay. Josh Alford is at least a backup catcher. There's nothing wrong with that. Blakely hasn't turned into anything yet. A lot of these guys haven't. Mm. I kind of wish we would have kept Tukes. I think Tukes still has a fairly bright future if given an opportunity. Sheffield was a bust. David is nothing special. Gross. Gross. Tim Gaffney still has a chance. Tim Gaffney could still have a chance to potentially be an okay player, I suppose. Meh. Zarian Dennis in the 6th round, though, has already proven to be an excellent draft pick. And he got his mega contract, which is fun for him. I like Dennis a lot, though. Dennis has been a nice acquisition. Ivani's already in the major leagues. I don't know if he's going to stay there or not, but he's been pretty decent. Kevin Brown still has a chance to be a decent infielder. He just hasn't had an opportunity yet. Myrick's got traded because we needed a pitcher. Who knows if Negrete will ever develop? Maybe someday. Bradford was traded. Matson looks really good. Knight is still has high potential. We can only judge about 2 classes. There's always a chance that some of these guys could come back and be pretty solid. But I think an important thing to note is the fact we've been so good for so long. I mean, we've never gotten great draft picks. Picking in consistently the back half of the first round isn't a great way to ensure that you have top tier draft picks. My friends, thank you so much for your patronage of the channel. Thank you for watching. Every view, every comment, every like just means so much to me. Again, you psychopaths that have been here since day one, I love you. And next week, Out of the Park Baseball 25, expansion franchise. I'm excited for this one. I'm really excited. Thank you all for watching. As always, this has been Up Guardian, and I bid you good day.